coming out today as we launch this campaign. I'm grateful to my team for the work so far, the work ahead that's involved, and I especially want to thank my best friend and fellow Coast Guardsman Jeff Dow for agreeing to chair another one of my campaigns, and to Jeff Danielson for volunteering as treasurer this time around. You bring a ton of public policy experience to the team, and we're all happy to have you on board. I imagine that most of you are here because you want new leadership in City Hall. And there are many others who've told me they'd like to come, but can't because of their relationship with city government. So I'm recording this for their benefit. I have my own concerns about the culture, philosophy, and processes of the mayor's office and the council chambers. And I'll describe a few of my experiences and incidents as a city councilor to explain how I evolved from a mayor supporter to a challenger in less than 2 years' time. Of course, the key issue in this campaign is public safety. Some of you saw my blog post yesterday about what appears to be the elimination of career firefighters. I won't rehash what I wrote there, but I just want to ensure you that I'm committed to a data-driven public safety model which appreciates that law enforcement and fire rescue are fundamentally different professions, requiring significant training, expertise, and experience. And I'll respect fire protection as a necessary insurance investment, not as a business operation. I've been surprised and disappointed at the mayor's insistence that the public safety controversy is simply an attempt by a few angry out-of-towners to divide the city. I can tell you from my police and fire ride-alongs, interviews, and research that nothing could be further from the truth. Many of the concerns and questions about the PSO model are valid, and the right answer is to address them earnestly and directly, not to point fingers at the fire union, and not to continually sell residents on a program with potential flaws. You and I know that slick PR videos and one-sided mailers at taxpayer expense are not going to make this problem go away. And just to be clear, my frustration isn't with the PSOs themselves, but with how this PSO model is being pushed out by City Hall. So in November of last year, when the mayor and council refused to support the 5-year strategic plan for public safety, I began to seriously question the city's direction. That's also when I started learning more about the disciplinary actions against career firefighters, which I'll talk more about later in the campaign. There's a lot to it, and I suspect you'll be just as disturbed about it as I was. Another point of contention is my disagreement with the mayor and city council about the council's oversight role. When I voted against staff recommendations based on my interpretation of the city code, the mayor has challenged me with, "Don't you trust city staff?" Yes, I do trust staff to do their best, but they're presenting one side of an argument, one side. And I believe that our role as council members is to do our own homework and to understand the other side of the argument and to decide accordingly. Otherwise, what's the point of having a council? I'm always going to be skeptical because I believe that's part of the job description. And as mayor, I'd bring that healthy skepticism with me to question staff assumptions and ensure that council has the most complete information possible for their deliberation. So those disagreements made me much more skeptical about the process and philosophy of local governance. Now, I love my job as a college instructor and web developer at UNI, so I wasn't seriously considering a run for full-time mayor, though quite a few residents were asking me to do it. But the final straw came for me in March of this year. The mayor held a special council session at 3:30 on a weekday with only 24 hours notice. That meeting was to vote on changing the police union contract to allow for 24-hour shifts. I was dismayed that this non-emergency was put into a special meeting when very few members of the public were able to attend or comment. I voted against the measure, and I made clear that I thought it wasn't appropriate to hold a special meeting for this non-urgent topic, that it should have been part of our regular meeting 5 days later. The mayor responded with, "Are you saying this is an illegal meeting?" I responded that it wasn't illegal, but that we needed to follow the spirit of the open meetings law as well as the letter of it. At that point, I knew that Cedar Falls could do better. We needed to do better. So I'm here, and I'm only able to do this mayor run because of an Iowa law which allows elected officials to take a leave of absence from their regular employment, just like members of the National Guard. By the time I'd announced in April, I'd already come to the conclusion that a full-time mayor wasn't in the best interests of Cedar Falls. And so I'm being very clear that I'm running as a transitional mayor candidate. There's lots of time in the months ahead to discuss what this means. and why city staff recommended this approach in 2014 when they created the administrator position. I know this will be a challenge to persuade the majority of voters that this is the right time for part-time, but I'm confident we can do this. So that's the timeline of my decision to run for mayor, and I believe that I possess the temperament, experience, and leadership needed to effectively serve as your mayor, and I hope to earn your vote on November 5th. Now you probably have lots of questions, and I might have a couple of answers. So who wants to start?